Hello and welcome to Psychology Live. I'm Dr. Gail Majcher and with me is Mary DiPaolo, limited licensed psychologist. We are going to be talking about trauma today. Bitter or better? Which way do you go when you go through trauma? In life, we all go through trauma, so we're going to be touching on that subject this session and the next session. But before we do, we love hearing from you, so please contact us through the
Facebook page. We have Psychology Live on Facebook.
Or YouTube. I was trying to think what we're on.
Or,
Instagram, YouTube.
Right, and also through our respective websites. Mine is through my blog, which is yourweeklysession.blogspot.com.
And mine's very difficult. It's Dr. Gail at drgail.com.
That's what I need. I need a website like that, like maryd.com or something like that. I don't know what.
So it's DRGAIL. Yeah, same thing.
Good.
I was thinking, since we're going to be talking about trauma, and I know we have both experienced trauma in our life, why don't we begin with something personal so people can understand what we're talking about? What I would like to begin with is childhood trauma. I know you have had childhood trauma. I did too, but some of my trauma came later in life. So what if we begin with a childhood trauma experience that you had and what it took to navigate working it through and becoming better?
Okay, I just talked about this the other day with a client, and it was interesting because the client is 19 and on the autistic spectrum, and he related really well to it. So, when I was a child, and this would be considered in many ways a small t trauma because it wasn't sexual abuse, physical abuse, like that, intense assault, I was in a fire, whatever. This small t trauma was, as a kid in third grade, we're all standing outside one day at recess, and our bully of our class says to me, "I can't say your last name. I think I'll call you Bozo." So from that moment on, I was Bozo throughout my grade school life, throughout my junior high life, except in high school. Everyone got benevolent and knocked off the last O, so I was just Boz. Okay, whatever, dude. Now, for a little girl, do you know what Bozo the Clown freaking looked like back in the day? Big, red hair, scary. He was a scary clown. He wasn't a friend.
He was a creepy clown.
He was a creepy clown. And what am I supposed to do with that as a little kid that I'm not even being identified by my real name, Mary? No, I'm Bozo forever. Now, the thing was, at the time, I remember developing an attitude within me, and I thought, oh, hell no, it ain't going to go beyond this. If anybody's going to bully me in this school, calling me names or saying or doing things, I mean, I can't do anything about Bozo because that was instantly like it went viral.
That's awful, really. And when you're a child, it is traumatic,
right?
Even with a capital T.
Yeah.
When you're a child.
But, it went viral, so to speak. So the whole freaking school's calling me Bozo. So I'm like, okay, what do I do about this? So I decided in my young mind, they called me Bozo, but they ain't going to get in no fight with me because I don't know what I'm going to do if that ever happens, but I'm going to win. So my whole thing was I was going to be, for lack of a better way of putting it, a badass. I'm going to be a badass.
You are. I want you on my side.
There's a perk that came out of the name Bozo, okay? So,
well, it is.
But I, figured I was going to be a badass and ain't nobody going to mess with me ever again in that school. And it did help that I was a foot taller than everybody else. And probably outweighed him by 50 pounds. I was almost as tall as the teacher in every grade school photo, okay? But my heart was always good. It wasn't meant to be a badass. It just happened to be that way because of the circumstances of the Bozo.
Well, you are a very tender-hearted person. I mean, you have such a big heart. You really care about people. But then you do have that strength with kind of like, don't mess with me because I will tell you the truth.
But back then it was, I will beat your ass. So I didn't want to beat anybody's ass, but I definitely was like trying to protect myself. Now, looking back on those years, since we got out of high school 45 years ago, this year.
No.
Yeah, but I know I look great, so it's all good. And no Botox.
Yeah,
you can pull me back. So anyway,
here.
But here's the thing that I've come to appreciate. I mean, you people don't know me out there, but I'm funny as hell. I mean, I am
I think
hilarious.
they can tell that.
No, but I really am funny.
You are?
Now, what if I'm funny because starting in 3rd grade I was being called Bozo? Because, you know, Bozo was a clown.
That's right.
And so maybe subconsciously I became funny in order to make or legitimize the Bozo nickname. And without realizing it, that being hilarious ended up being a gift in my life.
That
in
is
many
such
ways.
a gift in your life.
Oh,
Because you are so hilarious.
So that's how something that started out as a nightmare ended up really in many ways being a blessing for me. And I'm very grateful for it. And if that bully shows up, that former bully, at a reunion this year, I'm going to hug him and say thanks, because really, would I be who I am today if I hadn't been called Bozo? Maybe I'd be some other kind of person that wouldn't be as good as I feel I am now.
So that's where our trauma went from bitter to better, because you could have just stayed angry.
Yes,
but
I could.
Instead, you turned it into a gift in terms of your humor, because having a good sense of humor is obviously a gift, and you have that.
So
you know, while you're talking, it's making me think about this boy who was my boyfriend when I was
wait, is this a trauma you're going to tell?
Well,
you got to do trauma.
Okay, a little bit of a trauma.
All right.
So we were like 8. He was my boyfriend, and he started calling me fish lips, and it really bothered me.
But you know, the lips are a thing now. You know,
okay,
that's right.
Once we were in high school, and he was after me, and it's like, what do you think of these fish lips now, buddy?
That's right. That's right.
But that wasn't really trauma. It was just a little hurt when I was little.
Well, what was a trauma that you worked through where you became better instead of bitter?
Well, I would. I'm going to jump forward to my early 20s when I was in a violent marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got married very young and had 2 children right off, and I happened to marry someone who was very violent, physically, emotionally, verbally, all of it. It was horrible. I mean, it was pure hell. And anyone who has ever gone through domestic violence knows how terrible it is. I wrote a book about it called A Worthy Woman.
And it's a great book. You have to get it. It's on Amazon. She really has phenomenal insight into how you get out of that and remain intact.
Someone told me the other day they looked it up and someone was selling it for $300.
That's the golden version.
Go to Amazon. But anyway, but because I was in such a horrible situation, I came up with a plan of how to get out. And when on my son's first birthday, my daughter was 3, I escaped. Like, you have to make an escape plan. You have to be really smart about how you get out of a situation where you know the person could kill you. There were times when I would think to myself, this is the time he's going to kill me. So I knew I had to get out. So I found myself alone with a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, no money, no education, very little family to help me. I was just alone, and I thought, who's going to support these children? And I realized, well, it's not him, so it must be me.
Right.
And I thought, well, I can go to Ford and work like everybody in our town, or I can go to school like 3 days a week, so I don't have to leave them 5 days. So that's exactly what I did. I went to school, had them at the school with me, took at least 20 credits a semester just to crank out my degrees as quickly as I can, thinking I'd just get associates, never thinking I'd go all the way for a PhD, which I didn't even know what it stood for back then. But
piled higher and deeper back then.
Never said that to a PhD.
No, I know, but back in the day when we were ignorant about a PhD,
no,
right?
I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a situation where it was total trauma. And of course, I had PTSD. I still have it sometimes because of that. But because of that, I became educated. I got this degree, and I've been in this field for over 30 years and have worked with thousands of people now. And I praise God that I had those experiences, because I really understand people's pain. When they come in, no matter what their pain is, I get it, because the pain I experienced was so severe and so traumatizing. I get it. You know, the circumstances might be different, but I understand. So as a matter of fact, when I was going through that divorce, I read a book by, like Jim Smoke or someone, a really old book, and it was called Divorce, Getting Bitter or Better.
Wow.
It was a Christian book, and a real thin book, and I read it, and I thought, that's what I want to be. I want to be better. I do not want to be bitter. By nature, I'm not a bitter person. I do not want to be a bitter person because he chose to do what he did. So anyway, when I look at the big picture of my life, I am so grateful that I was able to take that turn and turn it into something better instead of bitter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in a past session that we've done here on YouTube how you were always such a hard worker. I think that when you go through something like that, it just continues to inspire you. Like, I can get through this, but I have to work really hard. And you did, and you got through it, and here you are.
Yeah, when you have two babies that you have to support, I would have never gone to college for myself. I just wouldn't have. I wanted them to have a good life.
Right.
And because of them, I was going to work really hard so that before they knew we were poor, we weren't poor, because I had become educated. So I did learn how to work really hard in that. And you know what, that show that you're talking about, the iPad won't let us send it through.
Oh, okay. Well, then nix that. But she did talk about it here, even though you may not be seeing it or have access to it.
But working hard is something that is so important to learn along the way. There are a lot of people, I think, especially in the current generation, who don't learn it because parents give so much that the kids kind of want to jump from A to C and not do the hard work of B, but it's in the hard work that we really develop integrity and fortitude and
perseverance,
all those things that serve us well in life. Can you see the time?
I think we're done. We have to have been talking for 10 minutes. So next time we'll continue this conversation on bitter or better, and we'll focus on examples of what bitter looks like.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.